Hey, hey, hey. Time for another out-of-this-world story from our space. Women cheated on me in the past. Not sure about the present. I'm getting married in a couple of days, and you could say I'm having trouble distinguishing what's real and what's not. I have nowhere else to go to explain my situation. I've loved 3 women over the course of my life. Except for my fiancée, the 2 women cheated on me, broke my heart, and betrayed me. I grew up in a medium-sized town, a college town with a population of about 10 to 15,000 people. I should say growing up, I never had a strong relationship with my mother and father or my siblings. As soon as I graduated from high school, I moved out and got my own place. I've always wanted to be independent, and I've always wanted to make connections with other people. Maybe because of my family situation being strained, it explains why I wanted a family more than anything else. But only in the last year or so have I been mentally well enough to consider that a possibility. Backstory. I finished college during the Great Recession. When I finished, I was aimless, worked 2 jobs. Everyone told me at the time that if I wanted to have any career, I would need a master's degree. So during the day, I put in shifts at a warehouse and did landscaping on the side. And at night, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I worked toward a graduate degree. To some other students, I met a girl who was much older than me. Let's call her Anna. Anna was a petite, half American, half Thai, who loved classical dance and art history. I was 23 at the time, and she was about to turn 30. She liked all the things that I liked. We ran into each other on campus a couple of times and would run into each other at bars where we would chat it up, and occasionally we would smoke weed out in the country and listen to music. I assumed our relationship was just going to be a friendship. I mean, she was gorgeous and I'm just an average-looking guy. Looking back now, it seems naive, but at the time, 30 seemed sophisticated somehow. That people at 30 knew the answers to important questions. Over the course of several months, our friendship turned into a romantic relationship. I had always been in love with her, and I think I convinced her to be in love with me. Anna had a child, let's call her Erin, who was 5 around the time I started dating Anna. Her biological father had abandoned the family and moved away. So her earliest notions of family reminded me of my own, or I could relate to her. I took it upon myself to be as close to a father as I could be. I wanted a family, and I wanted both Anna and Erin to be a part of that family. And it was kind of a family for about 3.5 years. I got into a routine where I went to work, came home for lunch, and then would come home for dinner. I play with Erin and read her books and do the best I could. I guess I was a lot more traditional than I thought I was. I told Anna that it was okay if she stayed home and that I could work my 2 jobs while I finished school. Sometimes in bed, we would plan our futures and the good things that would come. Maybe I'm looking back on this nostalgically, but I look back on those years and those memories as years of bliss. Anna and I still drink and smoke and have fun together. Like every couple, we had fights and disagreements, and we had good days or bad days. So like I said, my life was good. And then one day, my neighbor, Evan, who lived across the street and came in and out of our house because we had an open door policy. We kept some joints rolled up in an old cigar box, so it was not unusual for Evan to just come inside and help himself whenever he felt like it. And me and Anna had an open invitation to his place. If we needed alcohol or peanut butter, we would just walk over there and grab some. Well, one day, I get a text from Evan during my lunch break, and he said he was about to open the front door when he saw Anna and one of my closest friends kissing. Evan said they didn't see him. The guy she was kissing was named, let's call him John. John was very short and not attractive, but he came from a wealthy family and was about to finish his medical degree. He didn't live in town, but about 2 hours away in a much larger city. I don't know if he was lonely or didn't make any friends in the city, but he really seemed to enjoy making the occasional trips into town once or twice a month. So I texted John and asked, "Are you driving home this weekend?" He responded, "I am, but it probably won't be till later this evening." I texted Anna and asked whether she would mind to cook something up for us all to eat that evening, and then I said casually, "Oh, did you know John's coming in tonight?" She acted surprised, like she didn't know. Now, I was about an hour away, and it was normal for me not to get home until 7 or 8 in the evening. I told the warehouse supervisor that I had a family emergency and had to leave early. On the trip home, I considered that maybe Evan, who was not the most reliable or the most sober person I knew, could have made an honest mistake. And then I texted, "Well, is there a car besides Anna's in the driveway?" I described what John's car looks like. Evan texted me back, "Actually, no, Anna's car is the only one in the driveway." At first, I was worried, but as I neared the house, I kind of chuckled, thinking Evan must have been high or just saw something. About 7 miles out, I get a call from Evan, and he tells me the car, make, and model that I described was parked on the other side of the street, which Evan would have noticed from the angle of his front yard. I texted John and Anna and told them I might run a little late this evening and to start dinner without me if I'm not back after dark. John texted me back, "Yeah, I'll probably be getting in just a little bit before you." Anna texted me back and said, "That's great. I'm just cleaning up the place." Evan and I approached from the backside. I opened the door, and the 2 of them came running out. Everyone was screaming. I tried to take a swing at John, but I missed. He clocked me, and I hit my head against the wall and fell down. Evan chased down John and beat him up pretty good in my driveway. Not long after, the police showed up, and they arrested Evan. I felt bad because I didn't have the money then to bail him out, so I apologized to him the next day. He told me don't worry about it. It turned out for the last several months, John and Anna had been texting and calling each other while I was at work. I guess she thought he was a safer bet in the long term. Financially speaking, I mean. We broke up. We both moved away. She moved in with John, and I think their whole thing only lasted a couple of months. It probably took me a year to really get over the whole thing. The betrayal, the lying, the deception. Eventually, I moved back to my hometown and started seeing a girl, Alex, that I've known since high school. In reality, I was in love with her much more than she was ever in love with me. We dated for about 2 years and lived together for almost 1 year. Eventually, she got an offer for a job in Colorado. She would be making almost double what she was making where we lived. Anyway, Alex ended the relationship saying, "I don't think our relationship is sustainable with us living so far away from one another." I told her maybe I could get a job out there, but she told me not to because she wanted to start over. Now, you remember Evan from earlier? The guy who I trusted and thought had been a close friend? Well, I learned a lot about him about a year ago. While drinking at a bar, I met up with a mutual acquaintance, the guy who used to sell weed to me and Evan. At some point in the conversation, the story about Evan getting arrested came up and we had a good laugh about it. I said something positive, like, "Man, Evan was such a good guy, he didn't even complain when I told him I couldn't bail him out because I didn't have the money." And the guy gave me a weird look. He said, "Man, I figured you would hate Evan since he screwed both Anna and Alex." Apparently, none of my close friends or anyone else had told me that Evan had been sleeping with Anna even before John. And the reason he punched John that night and wasn't too upset that I couldn't bail him out was because when Anna and John got together, Anna stopped sleeping with Evan. So it had nothing to do with him being a close friend or even liking me. And it turned out, when Alex moved to Colorado, she continued seeing someone from our hometown, and it was Evan. In fact, she had been sleeping with Evan when we were in a relationship. It took me months to integrate all this information. The only 2 women that I felt I'd ever loved before my fiancé had lied to me and cheated on me. Worse still, everyone around me knew about this except for me. I can't tell you how humiliating and devastating this was to my psyche. So you might be asking, what does this have to do with you getting married in a couple days? So cut to today. Who do I see attending a rehearsal dinner for the wedding? Evan. He came with my fiancé's friend from work. It turns out she knows Evan. They all work together at the same bank, although my wife and Evan work in different branches, about 30 miles apart. Maybe this sounds paranoid, but I want to know what you guys think. Is it irrational for me to believe that maybe my fiancé might have slept with Evan? I know this sounds very delusional, but every serious relationship that I've been in over the last 15 years, except for this one, Evan has slept with. I don't think he knows that I know about Anna or Alex. Plus, he didn't act awkward around me, and in some ways, it was nice to talk to him, and I don't really care about things that happened years ago. And even though there is no connection between him and my fiancé other than he's dating your friend, and that they work for the same regional bank, there's a part of me that thinks somehow maybe he will or has slept with my fiancé. To be clear, I have no evidence of this. In fact, I don't think she would or has, but I guess I've been traumatized by the past and just can't get that possibility out of my mind. As you can imagine, I can't tell anybody this secret fear because I know it sounds so ridiculous. Right now, I'm telling myself that all this is just in my head and I'm anxious and nervous about the wedding, and also fearful that if Evan slept with my fiancé, it would be too much for me to bear. But in the past, the world that I believed in collapsed under the weight of its own reality. Anyway, a part of this was just the process of writing, and it has been therapeutic to write this out. I just have a lot of issues with love and betrayal that stem from the past. I know this particular situation is not something a lot of people have faced, but I'm sure there are people who have been cheated on multiple times, and maybe they could give me just some insight into whether I am making too much out of coincidences or not. Anyway, thank you for reading and any helpful advice you can give me. Update. I'm going to speak with my fiancée tonight and tell her about this history. I think maybe I was overthinking everything and being a little paranoid. You guys really changed my mind. Final thought. If anything goes wrong, I promise to come back and update this post. Hopefully everything goes smoothly. I will get married to the woman I love and will not have to relive the past. Thank you again to everyone here. It was very helpful to me. It means a lot. Alright, one quick comment and a reply. B1967 says, "You do not need to go into your marriage with this issue eating you. You need to be totally honest with your fiancé. If she does not already know, you need to explain to her everything that you have written here. That a man her friend is dating and bringing to your wedding, who you thought was your friend, was in fact backstabbing you with 2 past girlfriends. You also need to tell her that it bothers you that there is a possibility that she and him may be working together in the future. You also need to find out if your fiance has had any dealings with Evan or any type of relationship. Do not try to let this slide because it will eat at you. Even if it means delaying the wedding, you need to deal with this now, possibly even to the point of telling your fiance you do not want Evan at your wedding. You may be able to forgive him, but you better not forget what he was doing behind your back. Yoki replies, "Thank you for your kind words and suggestions. This thread has been much more helpful than I would have thought. It was very moving to see so many people take an interest in the struggles of other people. It was very moving to me. I won't be able to get to everyone's comments, but I wanted to express to everyone how thankful I am that you provided me with helpful insights.